Welcome to the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center, New York City. It is our honor and pleasure to introduce for the first time a very talented young man. He is Danny Clinch. He is a music photographer, but you are so much more than that. And you were just telling me you grew up in beautiful Toms River, New Jersey.
True.
And you're still hanging out there.
I am, yeah.
When did you know right away that you love photography?
My mother took photographs all the time, and I just sort of like was interested in it. And I was always drawing, always involved in the arts. I loved music. And as time went on, I ended up permanently borrowing a camera from my buddy across the street, and just really fell in love with photography and started to really sneak my camera into concerts all the time. And when people started to ask me, you know, my family, really my mom and dad, you know, what is it you want to do? What do, you know, we'll support it, whatever it is. I decided to go to school for photography.
Up in Boston?
I went 2 years to Ocean County College, and then I went to New England School of Photography in Boston.
Love it.
Yeah.
You just say you just finished up the film festival down in?
Asbury Park.
Talk about
Music
that.
and Film Festival. It's a great festival. It's was started about music in film and then became music and film because we had such a strong response. We had so many good people coming out to represent. The idea overall is music education in Asbury Park to help serve the underserved youth in Asbury, which has been a great thing. Some of the bands, we had Don Cheadle film last year. He went and spoke with the students. The Preservation Hall Jazz Band went and played for the students.
Excuse me, the Don Cheadle film about?
Miles Davis.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yes,
what a great film.
Yeah.
That was last year. And to see the kids, you know, the looks on their faces and, you know, to be able to offer them instruments and give them something to strive for is a big deal. And it was really cool to be a part of it. And this year was incredible. It was a lot of great energy. There was Before the Dawn, a film about the upstage in Asbury Park where Bruce Springsteen met the E Street Band, and they were going to have a jam there. Well, it turns out, who shows up for the jam? Little Steven shows up for the jam. Then Bruce shows up for the jam. And then, you know, Vinny Lopez and, you know, and all that. So it was pretty exciting. Yes.
As we show some photographs, can you talk to us about them?
For sure, yeah.
Okay.
What do you got?
What do we got? Let's put up some shots.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan. Where is that and what's this?
Well, I got a session with Bob Dylan, and the irony of that whole story was it was 1999. I had just sent my first book of photographs, Discovery In, to Bruce Springsteen to try and get some work with him. He had just gotten the E Street Band back together. And I had recently met Bob Dylan's publicist. Make a long story short, on the very same day, March 16th, I got a call in the morning to photograph Bob Dylan and a call in the afternoon to photograph Bruce Springsteen, both for the first time. It was incredible. And so I show up, I choose, the shoot was in LA with Bob Dylan. I chose the Ambassador Hotel, which is legendary because
Robert Kennedy
being assassinated there.
It was June 5th.
Yes, and they had the Coconut Grove room where the Rat Pack used to play. Those two things, when Dylan showed up, he was so amazed by the space. He was so intrigued by it. He spent a lot more time with me than I had thought. And we wandered around this place discovering these things and hearing about the history of the space. And I did portraits of him and just documented him wandering around the space. It was incredible. Really good experience for me. One of the things he requested, he said, let's get some, you know, we wanted to give him something to do for the shoot, you know, as well. So we sent out for some newspapers. Somebody came back with all these foreign language newspapers, gave him the Classificato, and he pulled it out and was, you know, reading the paper. And the important thing, when we were shooting, he looked out from the paper. He was like, hey, are you getting my shoes? I like these shoes. And it became, and I said, oh, yeah, I'm getting them. And somebody once said to me, like, oh, I love that photograph you have of Bob Dylan reading the want ads, like looking for a job or something. Can't believe my phone.
I got another shot here. Let's take a look at the next shot. I think it's a Pearl Jam shot, I think.
All right.
You know this shot.
You got it? I got a lot of Pearl Jam shots, man.
That one shot.
Oh, man. That's
How the heck did you get that shot?
Well, here's the thing, you know. It's about trust with all the bands that I work with, and you know, getting relationships with people and having them trust you to give you the opportunity to be in the right spot. And I call that spot my sweet spot there, where I like to hide behind the amplifiers, stay out of the way until I can feel a moment happening, and then for me, that point of view is the relationship between the band and the audience and the venue. That happened to be Wrigley Field in 2013, which has a lot of meaning moving forward. And so it became just, I felt that moment coming. I could see Ed turn around and look back at Matt Cameron on the drums. And I said, okay, I feel something's coming. The music's building. And it's just as they jumped out, I jumped out and got my shot and hid back down.
Next shot is fascinating. I saw it right before we came in here. Tupac Shakur.
Yeah. 1993, I got an assignment from Rolling Stone magazine to photograph Tupac. And I was really excited about it. But it turns out he was really excited about it too. I think at the time, I don't think Rolling Stone was running a lot of hip hop in the magazine. And he was a really smart businessman. And I think he saw the opportunity and really appreciated it. And he showed up on time, he showed up prepared. He came with a couple of different changes of clothing and was really pro about it. And I really appreciated that about him. And it turned out that when he said, hey, let's try a different outfit, because I want to give you more options, he took his shirt off, and I saw the tattoos, and I said, we've got to shoot one like that. I would appreciate it. And he said, yeah, of course. So
that's great stuff.
Yeah.
Go back to Bruce for a second. I was looking at a piece that, the 60 Minutes piece, Anderson Cooper was talking, the after show, if you will.
Yeah.
And he was talking a little bit about you and the shots you have of Bruce and the trust between you and Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
And the incredible shots you have of him that just don't happen by chance.
Well, again, it is about trust. And there's Jim Marshall, who's one of my photographic heroes in music photography and civil rights photography. He had a book called Trust, and I felt like that really summed it up. And so having met Bruce, and I sent that book, and I was able to start a relationship with him, I started documenting shooting for his tour books. Then I got to do the album packaging for The Rising. And I've since done quite a few of the most recent albums. I think 5 or 6 of the last recent albums. And it's become to a point where they'll give me a laminate before the tour, and they say, hey, if we need you for something, we're going to call you, or if you just want to come out and document, you can. And again, I have a lot of respect for Bruce and his crew and the band. And so I go in there and I show them respect, and I don't try to get in the way. And if I find myself backstage in Bruce's room, which is the Sanctuary, and I get a minute to photograph him while he's writing the set list or working out a tune with the band, I get that shot, and then I don't hang around. I get out and I leave them their space, and I think they appreciate that. And I think every musician wants their history documented. They just don't want someone to get in the way, and that's what I think is my...
From Bruce to finally shooting the Grammys.
Yeah.
A little bit different?
Yeah, the Grammys is really cool because it does open me up to a lot of artists that I maybe don't often get to photograph. It's a portrait situation. I usually have anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds to maybe 10 or 12 minutes if it's a friend of mine, people I know, and that sort of thing. It gets really, you have to be really on your toes, and you make a portrait as quick as you can. And I try to get one with the Grammy and one without the Grammy. And what happens is a lot of times you might get, maybe the early day might be the best spoken word record or the children's record, and those things don't get televised. But at the end, you get someone like Chance the Rapper or Adele or Beyonce or Jay-Z who win multiple Grammys, and they wait to the end, and a lot of people come at the end. So at the end, you turn around and you look at this line, and who you have in the line behind you could be Jay-Z and then Dave Grohl. And then at one point, this really happened to me. This is a great story. I turn around and I'm photographing B.B. King, who's one of my heroes. I'm a big blues fan.
B.B. King.
I play in a blues band, the Tangiers Blues Band. And I love the blues. I love B.B. King. I'm in the line. I look behind me because someone says, Paul McCartney's behind you. And I was like, okay. So I look, there's Paul McCartney, there's Dave Grohl, there's Jay-Z behind them. So this is my line right behind me. And I want to be fair to B.B. King, who also is a legend. And I turn to Paul McCartney and I say, Paul, I just want to finish up with B.B. and I'll get you in there, and I appreciate your patience. And I said, I'm sure you've met B.B. King. And he goes, in fact, I've never met B.B. King in all these years. And
you didn't introduce him.
I said,
you didn't introduce
let me
Paul
introduce
McCartney
you to Yes, I did. Can you believe that?
You're a man.
I swear that's a true story.
That's great. Danny, let me ask you this, down at the Asbury Park Festival. Transparent gallery?
Yeah.
What is that?
I've got a gallery up there at the Asbury Hotel. iStar, who runs the Asbury, had an empty space there, and they wanted to fill it up with something interesting for the end of the winter. So I put in a gallery there, which became not just a white wall gallery, but like an interactive space. So I've got my photography up there. A friend of mine deals in mid-century modern furniture, Tina Karekis. She put in this beautiful installation of places to hang out. We created like a vibe space. So not only do we have photography, we've got great places to hang out. You can bring your coffee and hang. Sundays we do like coffee house style, spoken word, hip hop, folk music, and people just come and hang. And it's been a really, really interesting place in Asbury Park, and it's become like a part of the fabric of the scene there, and they just gave me an extension to September 15th.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, super psyched.
Danny Clinch.
Yeah.
You've had a great career. You continue to do great things, and we wish you nothing but the best.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming in and joining us. Stay right
You got
there.
it.
One on One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One on One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Georgian Court University, Suez, Summit MD Anderson Cancer Center, Qualcare Inc., Johnson & Johnson, Gary's Wine and Marketplace, and by the law firm of Gibbons PC. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.